Easy now. Papa got things making headlines.
Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. I'ma have to cut you off, like right now. You see, I don't want to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they ain't finna change. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip. Yeah, you
Welcome to the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast, powered by The Athletic. Shout out to the company. My name is Michael-Shawn and I'm here with my co-host, Christopher Kidd. Make sure you follow us both up on the tweet machine. Since you guys know where to follow me on there, I'm just going to go ahead and shout out the YouTube channel, Seahawks Man-to-Man on YouTube. Shout out to all of our YouTube subscribers. Even if you are an audio listener, just go ahead, hit the subscribe button anyway. Come on back to Spotify, The Athletic, Apple, wherever you're getting it. Chris, talk to him.
What is good, everybody? It's your boy Christopher Kidd. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at CKIDD206 and that's CKid206.
I want to start this off shouting out everyone who peeped our last episode with Seahawks assistant running backs coach Amanda Ruler. We got a lot of love and positive feedback after the interview, which Chris and I could have anticipated because it was just a great discussion with Amanda. Amanda's personality jumps off the screen or just through your speakers or however you digested the show. Shout out to Coach Ruler. Hope she does really well, and the other assistants as well in the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship. That was dope. We got to get more coaches on the show, Chris. That is that's the goal. My next goal, I'll speak it into existence, is Sean Desai. He's part of a podcast that the homie Tashawn Reed is working on. And I'm hoping that after that drops, Sean can come hop on with us as well. But today is Wednesday, July 27th. The Seahawks had their first day of training camp, also known as the most overanalyzed day of training camp. The players do not wear pads. They barely touch each other. It's a lot of running around. Everybody's excited, full of energy, and every team feels like it's the start of their path to the Super Bowl. And for 31 teams, that is not the case, or at least 30 teams. You know, 2 of them will go there. But a very, very interesting day to start. The first thing I always do when I get to training camp is get water because it was hot as hell. No, for real, I was sweating bullets, man. It was really hot. I asked Jordan Brooks after practice. I said, "Hey, Jordan, how you doing, man?" While he was on the podium, it's on YouTube, I think. I was like, "Hey, Jordan, how you doing?" I said, "I'm good." He was like, "I'm good. How are you?" I said, "I'm hot." He was like, "Yeah." It was like, I said, "So how was day one?" He was like, "Day one was hot." You know, and I think Jordan might be from Texas.
Yeah, I guess I can look it up for you real quick.
Yeah, you can look that up for me, please. I believe he played at I know he played at Texas Tech. I don't know if he's actually from Texas, but like for that guy to say it was hot, that lets you know.
Yeah, from Dallas, Texas. Yeah,
he's from Dallas. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That means he knows hot, and it was like he still knew out there in Renton. Very hot today, but yeah, took attendance. Saw that everyone was there, which is always good. That eliminates one storyline, and you see that DK Metcalf is there, but not practicing. So let's start there. DK Metcalf is doing the new thing, which is a quote unquote hold in. It's an unofficial phrase. It's just the opposite of a holdout. You know, holding out is what you see like Earl Thomas doing in 2018 or Cam Chancellor in 2015, where they just don't show up at all. I think Jadeveon Clowney did it in 2019 as well. I think even Aaron Donald might have done it before. Khalil Mack, some other guys who they just don't show up at all. The reason that you see some more guys doing the hold in thing, which is where they show up but actually don't practice, is because you get fined $40,000 a day if you are not at training camp. And it doesn't take math whizzes like Chris and I to realize that $40,000 a day adds up. I don't care how rich you are. If someone just plucks 40 G's from you every day, you're not at work, that hits, you know, especially right now, they're not getting paid because you get paid during the season, unless, you know, we got signing bonus payments hitting right now. But for the most part, you're not getting paid. So you're seeing more guys show up to avoid getting fined, but abstaining from the on-field workouts to save their bodies so they don't get hurt, which is like a real concern. Last thing you ever want to do is roll an ankle or pop your knee out while you're waiting to sign a $100 million contract, right? Because the first thing that happens is you will not get that $100 million contract. This is the minute you pop your knee out in practice. So DK is doing that. It's a method we've seen before in Seattle. Bobby Wagner did it in 2019, showed up, didn't even really wear team gear. He had like a inside out hoodie that year, wasn't even rocking Seahawks stuff until he signed his deal, making him the highest paid linebacker in the league, or inside linebacker at least. Jamal Adams did the same thing. Last offseason, so did Quandre Diggs and Dwayne Brown. Those guys, Jamal ended up becoming the highest paid player at his position. Quandre Diggs and Dwayne Brown did not get new deals. So there's no perfect way to go about it. Holding in doesn't guarantee you get paid. Neither does holding out. It can work different for different players. Shaquille Griffin and Frank Clark both showed up to everything, participated in everything in their contract season. Shaquille ended up walking, and Frank ended up getting traded after he got franchise tagged. So there's no perfect way to do it. But DK is doing the way that he's seen it work for guys on this team before. And DK, shame on you for showing up in Air Monarchs. I just thought he had more fashion sense than that. I feel like that's the thing we have to start with, Chris, is that if you're going to show up to practice and you get to wear whatever you want, essentially because you're not practicing, I think the last pair of shoes I would ever choose to be seen by thousands of people, even more if you count the pictures people take of him, is Air Monarchs. Like, that might be quite possibly the ugliest Nike shoe possible. And I can't believe DK succumbed himself to such terrible footwear.
It's ugly, but if there's one person that could pull it off, I got to give it to DK. And I'm sure he had no socks or ankle socks, so he was showing those massive calves. I'm sure he made it work. I'm sure he probably posted a picture. Let me go to Instagram.
People took pictures of him.
DK might have just posted a picture, showing love to the Air Monarch.
He wears them a lot. A lot of the players wear them a lot because they're team issued. I think they say always compete on the tongue. Like Pete has them. They give them to all the players. So there's a lot of them just wear them because it's just in their little locker when they show up to work. But still, man, do better than that, DK. I know you got the shoes.
I can't blame him though. To be honest,
I can. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm shaming him on the podcast. Yes.
Chill. It ain't that big, man. I think you could pull it off, Mike. Like, for example, if you had some black shorts, you got a white tee on right now, and you throw on some Air Monarchs with no socks, that would look like a clean little fit. You got $30 shoes on, you're chilling, bro.
No. I will never succumb myself to such ugly, clunky.
They're ugly, but you can pull it off is what I'm getting.
No, I could pull off anything, I think, but I just don't.
That's my point. So there you go.
I wouldn't do it. I think highly of myself. I hold myself in high regard.
You can think highly of yourself and still wear like Payless shoes or something.
No, it's not about where the shoes come from. It's about what they look like. That's all. You buy some shoes from a homeless man off the street and they fire. You buy some ugly shoes from the Balenciaga store in Paris.
Okay, so what was DK wearing up top? Just a jersey?
He had his jersey on and he had a hoodie on. He had a backwards Seahawks hat, just chilling.
Okay.
Same way
that's Jamal a cool Adams little fit. That's similar. Cool. I get the Monarchs.
Yeah, Jamal was similar last year. Dwayne Brown, similar as well. So yeah, DK's doing the hold-in thing. And here's the thing on the contracts, and I think this is important. So Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders got about $23.5 million on his new deal. He got signed a 3-year deal. I think DK will probably sign for a little bit more, but that's just the what Terry got. Makes sense that Terry did that. Try to get another bite at the apple after that 3 years is up, because Terry's a little older than DK. I think DK is 24. Terry, I think, is 26 already, even though they're in the same draft class. I think he stayed at Ohio State much longer than DK stayed at Ole Miss. So there's that. Cooper Kupp, I believe, averages to about 26.7 in new money. I think in total, Cooper's on like a 5-year deal. But when you're talking about these contracts, it's important to just look at the new money that these guys are getting. Ignore what the total is based on what they were already making. Just look at the new deal. Like Stephon Diggs, I think, is at like $24 million a year in new money, because it's all extensions, right? With the exception of Devontae Adams, I believe, all these big ones are extensions, right? So you want to look at the new money. And you look at a deal like Devontae Adams, that has a bunch of fluff money. Devontae ain't seeing no money in the last 2 years of that deal. Same thing with Tyreek in the last year of his deal. A.J. Brown's deal is pretty realistic. I think that's 4 years, $100 million.
$100 million?
Yep. DK is in that range. I know that. Chris knows that. Half of y'all listening to the show knows that. So we know the Seahawks know that as well. So with that in mind, my guess is that the holdup is not the average per year, because if it was, there would be no negotiation. If that was the holdup, like, hey, we don't want to pay you $24 million a year or $25 million, well, then there's no talking, right? If you're DK's people, like, why would you even discuss that? If you're DK's agent and you rep, Mike Williams, you just got him $20 million a year, whatever. You rep AJ Brown, you just got him $25 million a year. You rep DK, you're probably gonna get him the same thing. You rep Deebo Samuel, who's also doing a hold in down in San Francisco after requesting a trade. Like Torrey, DK's agent, he knows the game. So I would guess, without like reporting any inside information on it, that something to do with the guarantees, the guarantee structures. That's probably what's around the hold up there. Like the average per year is always that's gonna be what it is, right? Same thing with Jamal. Like they had to pay Jamal like $17 million. There was really no way around that. Same thing with Bobby Wagner at the time. They had to pay him $18 million because somebody else was making 17. I forget who it was. I think it was CJ Mosley of the Jets, or maybe the Ravens. Can't remember. But can you check that for me, Chris? Actually, I want to say it was CJ Mosley at the time. But they had to give Bobby the $18 million. So when it's an obvious contract number like that, you can probably make a safe assumption that something to do with the guarantees is part of the holdup. Different teams are different with their guaranteed money structure. Some teams are used to guaranteeing a certain amount of years, maybe 1 year, 2 years, maybe the first 3 years. Some teams will just guarantee that first year, guarantee a signing bonus, and then make sure that your guarantees in year 2 and year 3, they hit like 1 year early. So let's say like your guarantees in year 2, they hit like right at the top of year 1, and so on and so forth. Russell Wilson's deals have been structured that way. Bobby Wagner's as well. So structural stuff is probably the holdup. And I bring all that up not to just throw a bunch of numbers at people, but that's good news. When you're at the point where it's like, all right, we just got to fix some structure things. We're not totally off on dollars. If that is the case, that's a good sign that something's going to get done. Hell, with our luck that Chris and I have had on this show, by the time Chris is uploading the damn video, DK will probably sign. Knock on whatever this table's made out of. What's your table made out of? Wood?
Wood, baby.
Yeah. So yeah, knock on wood. That is not the case. But in my mind, how I look at it is, I at first I was a little worried. I was like, DK's holding out a mini camp in June. Like, how far apart are they on the money? Are they even negotiating? They were at the time. Is this more like a Frank Clark situation where the amount for a player at that caliber just keeps going up and going up and going up and going up? And I was able to kind of talk to some more people behind the scenes and kind of come to an understanding that DK is probably not going to surpass like a Cooper Kupp number, probably not going to surpass a Tyreek Hill number, Devontae Adams number. He is more in the AJ Brown, right around Cooper, Stephon Diggs, that range, which is expensive. Chris, I was thinking about this. I tweeted this out too. If DK even makes $24 million, he will be the highest paid player on the Seahawks by about $7 million a year. That is, Jamal is the only. I think Jamal and Tyler are both at 17. I think Jamal might be at 17.5 a year. DK would be at like 24 or 25. That's a huge jump. That's a huge jump, though.
It is, but you got to pay this man. I don't want to think about the situation where it's just Tyler Lockett out there and there's no DK because they had to make a trade because they couldn't come to an agreement. But as you are stating, things seem to be just around the money.
That's my guess. No one has told me this directly. It's just my guess, kind of with how contract situations tend to go when it's so obvious what the number should be. Now, with every guy, that's not the same. Like, I wouldn't have known what to pay Tyler Lockett on his first negotiation in 2017. Entering the 2017 season or 2018 season, whatever it was, 2018. I would have not known what to pay him. He wasn't the top guy, but he was like clearly a better than average guy, hadn't made a Pro Bowl at a receiver. That's a little difficult. Same thing with Dwayne Brown last year. I would not have known what to pay a 36-year-old, left tackle or whatever. That would have been tough. DK, it's very simple. Yeah. Here's the floor. Cooper Kupp's probably the ceiling. Let's figure it out, boys, and get this structure right.
No, really get it done. And another thing that plays into this is the fact that you want DK to get reps with Geno or Drew. That's true. The longer he's holding in, the more of a challenge it becomes to pair with these guys. He only played 2 games with Geno, and one of the
three and a quarter.
Not he didn't play 3 games total, so his sample size is really small, and he's never played with Drew. And if he's gonna miss, let's say they still don't come to a deal by preseason week 1, which is in 2 weeks, right?
That's like August 13th.
13?
I think their first game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steelers.
So that becomes an issue. It's like, dang, we're missing reps. Now, I don't think he's going to play preseason, but even in practice, you're not getting those repetitions. Drew and Geno aren't 100% sure. Oh, where do I put the ball here? How do I do this? How do I do that? Whereas with him and Russ, they had that connection. Now it's a whole new scheme. Well, not a whole new scheme, but it's a new quarterback. And that ability to know how the ball is going to be thrown, where the quarterback should put the ball to the receiver, all that comes into play. And if they're not getting those reps, and that could come down to haunt these guys in week 1 against the Denver Broncos and as the season progresses, because they missed so much time. But I'm hoping that you're right. And tonight, tomorrow, maybe while we're gone on vacation, that it does get done, because that's only going to help this offense, especially with having Tyler Lockett out there and a bunch of other receivers that hopefully can get this offense rolling again without Russell Wilson. So I think it's really big that they get this done. I do think it will happen. I don't think there's going to be a trade, but you never know in this world. They said the same thing about Russ, and then we kind of thought maybe there could be a potential trade just because they didn't want to pay Russ. But at the end of the day, I think everybody was positive, like, oh, they're not going to do it. And then boom, it happened. Oh, we knew it could happen. So we don't want to see that scenario again with DK being traded, because if that's the case, I think you mentioned maybe a few months ago, if they trade DK, you're really throwing the season away at this point. I don't know what you could get back and be like, you know what, we have a chance still if you trade DK.
No, you don't have a chance if you trade DK. And the issue with doing it now is that you're doing so right before the season starts. So you don't get the luxury of trading him to a team that already has a very high draft pick. Right? You're instantly making the team you give him to better. Right? So let's say, who needs a receiver? Give me a team. Needs
Giants.
A number 1 receiver.
The Giants.
You trade DK to the Giants, right? Like, in theory, you would think the Giants would stink, right? Like, the Giants just picked 6th or 7th in the last draft, right? But if you give them DK, they're probably going to be a lot better, right? So you don't even get the luxury of getting a top 10 pick for DK. You're risking what that pick could be. You know, the Jets made that same calculus or did that same math when they were trading away the Jamal Adams. That's probably why they were like, we need 2 1s instead of just normally giving up a 1, like a first round pick, because they were thinking, hey, we're giving you guys Jamal. You're probably going to win the division. We're giving you him in July. You're probably going to go on and win the division this year if we give you Jamal Adams, meaning our pick will probably be anywhere from 23 to 29. That pick ain't worth nothing. And then you'll have him the next year as well. So it'll probably be something similar. They were like, well, we're not getting a 1 first round pick in the top 10. We'll end up getting 2 first round picks in the back end of the draft. That's probably what went into the math of Seattle giving up 2. I still probably wouldn't have done that. I would have said screw off. But you can see the math on that versus like giving up, you know, if they had traded DK to the Giants ahead of the draft and said, hey, give us pick 6 or whatever, or pick 7, you know, then
now you have a chance.
Then you know you're getting a high first round pick. And that stuff matters to front offices, right? Pick 27 is not worth the same as pick 4, right? Even though they're both first round picks. And you got to take that type of stuff into account, which is why the Jets were probably so excited last year to see the Seahawks stink. And they got pick 10 from the Seahawks. They probably thought that was going to be pick 23 again. So that all factors in. I don't think there'll be a trade though. I do think something will get done. If something does not get done, I think DK just plays out the season, you know, like Frank did, like Shaquille did.
But isn't that more scary that he plays out the season with the Seahawks and then free agency hits and now he's probably not coming back because the Seahawks didn't want to pay him then, and you can only imagine how much the price is going to, as you say, go up if they don't pay him. Now.
The issue, then the tag becomes a thing. The Seahawks would have to tag him. You know, then you're tagging a 25-year-old DK. But then at that point, you're probably only paying him like, I forget what the tag number is for 2023.
16 and a half?
No, it's probably higher than that because it's an average of what the top guys are making. So when guys make more money at the position, the tag number
goes up,
rises. I think it's probably around 20 million right now. But like that's not that much, right? That's like Chris
18.4 million, Mike.
for 2023.
Ooh, good call.
Yeah,
Let's try that
2023.
again.
Looks like the projection on overthecap.com is 19.9.
19.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
There
around
it is.
like I thought. Yeah. So if you do that, that means you get 2022 DK at like whatever.
Should just pay the man.
Pennies on the dollar, and then you get 2023 DK at age
Just
25
pay him.
at like 19.9
Just pay
million.
him.
No, I'm with you, but like I'm trying to think like DK and think like the front
Seahawks.
office, kind of give people all the options. But yeah, I think as we transition to, we should talk about the quarterback battle now, but that's a relevant point that you made, and that I think is something I was thinking about when I was driving home from practice today. Man, it's got to stink if you're Drew Lock that DK is holding out from practice. Like he's holding in totality, but he specifically is not running routes and catching balls. He's already done it with Geno, and so even if Geno doesn't have that chemistry with him, like right this second. Like DK, I mean, how many touchdowns? Geno's first touchdown last year was to DK.
DK, yeah.
You know, like, and his last one probably was to him as well, against the Jags.
Probably, yeah.
He threw two to DK against the Jags. He ran.
Yeah, he threw the go get it one, threw a bullet, and he just said, "Go do it, do your thing, DK."
Yeah,
so yeah,
he jumped over Shaquille Griffin for he beat Shaquille Griffin for both of those touchdowns against the Jags last year. Actually, just two really good plays by DK and Geno. But like they already have that. You know, I think in every game but the Steelers game that Geno played in, he threw a touchdown to DK. He threw one to him against the Rams. He threw one to him against the Saints, that 84-yarder, and he threw two against the Jags. So like he threw 4 touchdowns to DK in 4 games played. You know, like they have that chemistry. If I'm Drew Lock, I'm like, well, damn, I'm really in sync with Cody Thompson, but that doesn't really help me.
Yeah, Cody's not going to be your number 3 receiver.
He, quietly,
he could, but
he probably won't be. But I will say this about Cody, and I tweeted about him too. Not only is he nice, people in the building
notice
like Cody. You know, I was talking to somebody in the building recently, and they were just like, "Yo, Mike, like this guy, he can really play." Like, because they chart out all the practices and all the plays that the receivers make and everything. When they're charting it out, they're like, yo, number 11 is making it just as many plays as anybody else we have in the system. You know, granted, that's without DK and, you know, Tyler not hopping in as many drills probably as he needs to because he's Tyler Lockett, and he's in year 8. But yeah, number 11 makes just as many plays as anybody. That includes Freddie Swain, that includes D. Eskridge, that includes Penny Hart. So, like, Cody could mess around and get some reps, but just big picture though, if you're Drew Lock, you're like, damn, I'm trying to win this battle, and I don't get arguably our best receiver to throw to. Like, how many times has Drew thrown a pass that DK's caught? Just like ever. Like, did he get to do it during OTAs when DK showed up for that little bit when he was working? Probably not though, because he was still recovering from the foot surgery.
I'm sure you're just tossing the ball. That counts.
Yeah, maybe this little, hey, bro, here, you know, maybe give him a water bottle or something like that.
Do one of these.
Yeah, maybe, you know, watch them on the jugs machine, but like those reps matter.
Exactly. Yeah.
The more I talk to quarterbacks, the more I talk to guys who are active quarterbacks, former quarterbacks, whatever quarterback coaches, they all tell you those reps matter, man. That they are very, very important because so much of the game now is reacting to how the defense covers stuff. You know, whether the corner is on his flat-footed or turns his hips this way or has this technique, depends on how you read this route, this concept. There's so many of those nuances that just take reps. They just take a lot of reps. A lot of those cover zero balls that Russ would throw to Tyler or DK or Doug Baldwin. It's all reps, man. It's all reps. And without those, it's just hard to win. It's hard to win the gig. The thing that I think works in Drew's favor, though, is that he does have familiarity with some of the guys he is throwing to a lot in practice. And Noah. That helps. Like he does have
Noah Fant, that is.
Yeah, Noah Fant, Cody Thompson. I know Drew was trained with some other guys down in Dallas before OTA started. But Pete Carroll today, it was Wednesday, that is, reiterated again. He almost said verbatim. I'm paraphrasing here, but he was like, guys, Chris is going to have to pay Mike $100 here in September. That's not a direct quote. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, and he kind of didn't say that at all, but I could see it in his eyes. You see it in Pete's eyes. He was like, hey, look here. Geno's got this. Drew's got some catching up to do. Chris, go ahead and give up that $100 to Mike. That's at least what my eyes told me, that Pete's eyes was telling me back.
Man,
That's what I read on it, man.
I wasn't there for day one.
You should have been.
Today was a lot for your boy, but I will probably be there Saturday. Hence my car, everything's good to go in that regard. But the situation at quarterback, it's gonna be a fun one, man. The preseason games matter. These 3 games are huge, and I can't stress that enough. The turnover battle is big. Making certain throws, decision making, everything will come into play. My hope is that it is Drew Lock, because I got $100 on the line. But I also think that he might be the best quarterback for the situation that the Seahawks are in right now. Geno, maybe do like 7 games, but that wasn't our bet. It wasn't like, 7 games in, is Drew going to take over or will be Geno still? Like, that wasn't the deal. We said week 1, who's going to be starting? I went with Drew Lock. I'm going to stick with my guns there. There's just something about him. I don't know when it's going to click, but I think it has to start now because training camp is live. Now everything counts literally. You can't make interceptions and think, you're still going to be the starter. You start throwing picks, you're going further and further down to that backup quarterback position, and then Geno's just rising his stock. And he already did it last year. We saw him through 3 games. We know what he's capable of doing. We know what he can't do. Drew, Pete likes to talk about, though, that 3-4 game span where he lit it up. That's great and all, but you're in a new system now. You're going up against a guy that he believes he's a starter. I see Geno tweeting damn near every day about, people planning on my downfall. I'm ready. I'm paraphrasing. Obviously, I'm not saying exactly what he tweeted, but he's ready for this opportunity. He was just complaining to Madden about being, I think he was rated like 79 or something, or 70 overall, 67. He was pissed. He thinks he should be higher than that.
Damn, 67 is kind of low.
Or, to be fair, you're a backup quarterback. What are you supposed to be ranked at?
I don't play Madden, but that seems.
Yeah, we're not gonna get. It's all.
I feel his beef on that though. That's pretty low. Oh, that's what it was. He tweeted that he was like, "Man, they got me ranked below dudes who ain't even thrown a pass in the league before." To that point, though, I think that's a fair critique, though. But
then again, Marcus Mariota is probably a 70. How much better is Geno than Marcus Mariota?
Well, I don't know everybody's ranking, but Geno's point about guys that ain't even thrown the ball before in the league, that I think that is a fair one. Like, how do you already decide Malik Willis is if you're a video game?
I don't have the answers. No, I do know that Geno, he is really, really excited for this opportunity. He believes that he is the number 1 guy that can bring this team back to a Super Bowl. No problem with it. Drew is, on the other hand, I'm not saying he's not, but he seems to be more quiet kept. Obviously, he wants to win the job, but he's not out here. I haven't seen any tweets about Madden or, what he plans on doing this season. I just know Drew is in there every day trying to get better, trying to understand the offense, and trying to do things right. That way, week 1, I can have $100. So we'll see how this plays out.
Here's an interesting. There's 2 things, 3 points I want to make about the quarterback competition that are kind of new-ish developments. One is the first thing I did. I spent some time by the defense early on in practice, just kind of catching up with some other reporters and stuff like that. And the offense is on the far side. I just didn't walk over there quite yet. And then when I did, I got distracted. I actually ran into the guy that's training Marquise Blair. Ran into him, talked to him at camp. That was a fun conversation. But anyway, I walk over there, and the first thing I do, I whip out my phone because I see her throwing deep balls. And I start taking video. And Geno's throws are to the far side of my camera, and Drew Lock's throws are to the near side. They're just kind of alternating. And then the first one is a far side deep ball. I'm like, oh, okay, that was decent to the sideline. Receiver got under it. And the next one comes at me, and it's Tyler Lockett from Drew Lock. Drew overthrows him by like 3 yards, something like that. I didn't post the video just because I feel like that would be more trouble than it's worth. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. And then I recorded another rep, and Geno throws another far side deep ball, hits the receiver, and then Drew tries again to Marquise Goodwin and underthrows him. Then Marquise catches it, and Bob Condotta actually did tweet that one, so you guys can go kind of see that. It's in Bob's Twitter account, the Seattle Times, and I'm just like, this is it. Like that was it's 4 throws total, but it just shows like as soon as I walked up, started watching, I was like, number 7 clearly has just some better touch and feel than number 2 does. Like, take away the names and the careers, just watch them. Just watch the players. You're like, number 7 looks a little sharper than number 2. And then, you talk to people and like, they like the Seahawks, like all the guys they have in the room. I've talked to people who really feel comfortable saying that between their 3 guys, Geno, Drew Lock, and then even Jacob Eason, that in terms of just pure arm strength, they're really high on the arm strength of all 3 guys. They'll put their arm strength against any other team's quarterback room, and I don't have time to go through all the other guys who have strong arms, but I was like, yeah, that's interesting. I don't know how true that is or how much it matters, but like that's that's just how high they think
it's something to go for. How about that?
Yeah, and you can see like Pete Carroll even saying today is like, we're gonna chuck it deep. It's like, all right, cool. And that's why I'm watching the deep balls and just seeing that was just like, see, like this is why I roll with number 7. Not only in our bet, just I sincerely believe that Geno is just a sharper quarterback at this point in their respective careers, which makes sense because one guy's in year 10 and the other guy's in like year 4. Right, so that makes sense. I have similar video footage from minicamp, the last day of minicamp. I don't know if I sent it to you, Chris. I might have, but it's the same thing. Geno and Drew running routes with the guy. Did I send it to you last time?
No, I don't think we talked about it.
It's Geno throws the route, hits the guy's stride. Drew throws the route, doesn't hit the guy. And these are all deep balls, by the way. This was a post-practice session. I think I posted Geno's. I think I did on Twitter back in June. I did not post Drew's again, just because like it'll just feel like I'm agenda driven, even though I'm not really that type of guy. I just refrained from doing it. But just watching those type of deep throws in particular, because the short stuff, they're going to look pretty similar, right? They're throwing on air, not much of a pass rush. Defense can't really make a lot of plays on the ball. These guys are going to look the same. That deep stuff, though, you can see it. Like you can see how the ball spins. You can see where it hits the receiver. Does he have to stop? Does he have to adjust? Is it in stride? Is it behind him? You can see all that. Just when I watched the 2, in particular today, I was just like, yeah, 7 has a little bit of an edge. Doesn't mean he's perfect, right? He threw a pick today. Sidney Jones picked off Geno. The ball was a little bit behind Marquise Goodwin. He went back to go reach for it, tipped it, boom, lands right in Sidney Jones's hand. Sidney might have scored a pick 6. Like, you can't have those type of plays either, And then Drew has another type of play you can't have. He would have got sacked by number 73. Can't remember his name. It's an undrafted dude. I think he's from Tacoma. I don't have my roster in front of me. But Drew escapes that, but decides to scramble left and then turn his body and throw it all the way across the field, across his body, just into trouble. I think it ended up falling incomplete, and it was the last play of the day. But it's like stuff like that. It's like when I'm watching and I'm trying to see what the separator throws, like obviously don't know the scheme, and I can't hear Shane Waldron in the call and all that stuff. So I'm just looking at just the stuff I can kind of see with my naked non-quarterback coach eye. I'm like, yeah, man, I feel pretty positive about 7 winning the job. But like you said, Chris, the preseason games are really they're gonna make a difference, and a lot of it is gonna be what happens at the line of scrimmage before the snaps. Who can get the guys into the right protections? Who can get the right calls, particularly on third down? Who can check into the right runs and the right situations?
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah.
Who can run 2-minute stuff? I was talking with a QB coach. I guess he's not a QB coach anymore, but I was talking with a QB coach recently. We were talking about Russ and just how good Russ was at the end of games. Like, Russ could be playing just shitty the whole game. All of a sudden, there's 2 minutes left, and Russ is Tom Brady. And I don't say that with hyperbole. Like, there will be look at remember the Washington game last year? How bad they were playing on Monday Night Football, and then they couldn't move the ball to save their lives, right? Like, the longest run of the day was Rasheem Green returning back an extra point for like 90 yards for a score. And all of a sudden they're down 8 with like a minute and change left, and Russ takes them like 90 yards.
Yeah.
Just right down the field. The Minnesota game in 2020. Right? They get that 4th down stop, Sunday Night Football. Russ takes them right down the field, with I think like 1 or 2 timeouts. Like, Russ was so good in that situation. So I think that another situation that's going to determine things is how those guys look in that, or how Geno and Drew look in that situation. But for right now, just in terms of like, all right, let's watch both guys throw the ball a bunch and just take the names and resumes away. Just who do you like better? I'm like, oh, I objectively think 7 is dude sharp. We'll see when they can get hit in the face, though. That's different.
Everything changes week 1 of preseason.
Oh yeah, everything changes. And I said I had 3 points. I can't remember. The third
Oh
one.
yeah, the other one was John Boyle wrote an article.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Shout out to John. Writes for the for Seahawks.com. He's like their in-house reporter. He did a story kind of referencing Pete Carroll's time with Carson Palmer at USC and how he kind of revitalized Carson Palmer's career back then to how he can potentially revive the careers of Geno or Drew Lock right now. And the premise itself kind of falls on its face a little bit just because, quarterbacks in college, you can revive your career a lot easier in college. Think about it, right? Yeah, USC, I don't know their schedule in 2003 or 4 or 5 or whatever it was, but like you got some games on there where everyone on USC is better than everyone on the other team. That makes it a lot easier for the quarterback to get his mojo. That's not the case in the NFL, right? The playing field is pretty level, right? So anyway, so the comparison there kind of falls on his face, but that's not the point of John's article. The point of John's piece is something that I've been considering to be very relevant as we talk about Drew Lock and Geno Smith in the quarterback competition, right? You look at the quarterback tiers that the homie Mike Sando, his rankings that he puts out every year after he talks to about 50 coaches, execs, and personnel people within the NFL. And that gives us a good feel with how coaches and execs feel about the quarterbacks in the league. Chris, you saw the quarterback tiers thing from Sando. Drew Lock and Geno Smith were the 2 bottom-ranked starters in the thing.
At least they made the list, man.
They were 34 and 35 of 35 quarterbacks analyzed in the piece. Geno was 35. Drew was 34.
34.
They were the worst 2, right, according to people in the league. And that's something I've been considering when thinking about when people ask me, like, how good is Drew? How good is Geno? How is this going to work in Seattle? One thing I've been really wondering is just like, part of this whole experiment is trusting that Pete Carroll and John Snyder are just better at quarterback evaluations than everyone else in the league, pretty much, right? They
got it right with Russ,
which is fine. I give them that. I do, but now we have to assume that they're doing it again. But the difference with Russ is that they were projecting from college to pros, whereas right now they're just projecting on 2 guys who've already been not good in the pros to just suddenly just be good, right? And I think that's the part that's been a tough sell for me. I've been asking myself, what is Pete like selling? Like, why does he think that he can fix Drew? Not fix, they're not broken, but why does he think he can fix Drew? Why does he think he can fix Geno? And no one else thinks that. You know what I mean? Like, why is no one else thinking that he can fix them? And in John's piece kind of details some of the stuff that Pete is supposedly offering that these guys haven't had. Some of the things are things we already know. A run game, right? Pete's saying if you give any quarterback a run game, it just helps him, operate at a higher level, less on his plate. Great weapons. I give Pete that. Between Noah Fant, DK, and Tyler Lockett, that's decent. The O-line's another thing, but whatever. A good defense. He figures a good defense takes, a lot off of the quarterback's plate as well. But all that stuff is, again, that's nothing new. Every coach in the league will tell you if they want to have a good defense, a good running game, and weapons. Duh. No, seriously, like, that's nothing new. But I think that the thing that kind of stood out from the piece as well was just a confidence factor. And I only put so much stock into it, but it was interesting that the in-house reporter and supposedly the team was kind of on the same wavelength as what I was thinking. Like, there has to be something that Pete is offering Drew and Geno that would make us believe that he's going to do something for their careers that hasn't already been done. Like I said, Geno's in like year 10. So one thing that was really emphasized in there, and Carson Palmer gives some really good quotes about it, was just like, Pete makes you feel like you can fly pretty much. I don't know if you've had a boss like this, Chris, or just anyone you worked with who's just like, when they believe in you so strongly, or maybe it's a coach that you've had, I don't know, anything, a teacher, when they just believe in you, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of that when you believe you can achieve type of thing. That's what Pete kind of brings. Again, there's only so much, stock I'm put in that, but I bring that up because it was interesting to see, Carson talk about it, kind of Pete talk about it. John also got some quotes from Drew and from Geno about how Pete instilling confidence and putting a winning culture around those guys. Something that is also relevant. Denver stinks. Geno played for the Jets and the Giants, 2 franchises that stink. Right? So that I guess that that winning culture is something else he's offering. Again, I don't think this is going to turn these guys into new quarterbacks, but I do think that was, I encourage everyone to go read the piece. I tweeted it out as well if you don't want to scroll John's timeline. But I thought that was really interesting in terms of like, Pete, what are you selling? You know, you can't just tell me I got Drew, I got Geno, I'm going to make them better than they were everywhere else. You got Andy Reid. Like, Andy Reid don't have to sell me. He was getting busy with Kevin Cobb, Vic straight out of prison, you know, Andy Reid,
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes, like even Matt Moore in the games that he had to start for Patrick Mahomes, the Super Bowl year, like held it down. Andy Reid is clearly the guru, clearly. Yeah. Mike Holmgren's also got a pretty good track record with quarterbacks as well. Guys like that, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, those guys don't have to explain anything to me.
We're going to find out though, right?
I wanted to hear his pitch kind of unofficially, and we kind of heard it through John's story, which I thought was kind of, again, I encourage everyone to go check it out. And you know who endorsed kind of my thought on it was Doug Baldwin. Actually. Yeah, I tweeted out that, I'm reading my tweet now. I said, that's one thing, I quote tweeted John's story. I said, that's one thing about Pete's attempt to revive the careers of Drew Lock and Geno Smith. He's got to believe he has something to offer that the QBs haven't experienced before. Judging by this piece, Pete is providing defense, run game, culture, and an extreme vote of confidence. And Doug Baldwin responded to my tweet with just a little on-target emoji, or the bullseye. Is it a bullseye?
Yeah.
It's a bullseye.
Throwing darts. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't even, bullseye. There you go. It's a bullseye emoji. Again, there's only so much stock you can put into that, but I think that just as we're all trying to figure out who's going to be the quarterback, how good Drew's going to be, how good Geno Smith's going to be, whether Pete Carroll was right to move on from Russell Wilson, I think what he's offering Drew and Geno has to be talked about. Otherwise, they're just going to be the same guys they've been, which is not good enough, which is why they were just 34 and 35, you know, in the quarterback tiers. So I'm still confident I'm going to get my $100 from you, Chris, throwing it out there.
At this point, I just want to see what happens.
It will be fun. It will be fun. It's fun to see newness.
That's what I've been trying to, say for the last few months. Like, I am excited to see what this team is going to be about. There's a lot riding on Pete and John Schneider to put a product out there that the fans are going to be excited about, that goes into the playoffs with a chance. This is a whole new thing, whole new team.
Or goes into the playoffs in general,
Well, they have Super Bowl aspirations. I'm not saying they're wrong or right in that regard. That's what they have in front of them, Super Bowl or bust. We understand. Can you guys make the postseason with this roster right here? Let's just look at it what it is. Right now, you're probably third or fourth in the NFC West, if we're really talking about it. But we can get into that later.
Yeah, we will.
Something else that, happened during training camp, right before it started, I guess, is KJ Wright. He was able to come home, sign that one-day contract, and retire a Seahawk, which I'm sure he wanted to just suit up one more time. If anything, KJ was on with us. What was it?
After Norton got fired.
Yeah, and he was like, I still want to play. I'm not sure if that's changed. I haven't talked to him about that since then, but it was just good to see him back in Seattle. The emotions that he was filled with, just knowing that he can retire a Seattle Seahawk. I think it's big for him, man. Although I do think part of him, though, does want to go out there and suit it up because he still probably believes that he can give this team that veteran leadership. Not saying that Jordan or Cody can't do that, but the fire's still in KJ. But having him retire as a Seahawk, that's dope. What he's done for the city, what he's meant to the city. I mean, you wrote a story on him recently about just his career path, starting in Seattle, now where he's at 10 plus years later. The journey has been great. And KJ's dope human being. So congrats to him. It's going to be a tough one, but he'll be all right.
Yeah, I think a couple of things on KJ. He does still want to play. He feels like he got some ball left in him, and he probably does. I saw KJ over the weekend, and he was playing some sand volleyball up there at the park. I was like, oh, that dude still got it, man. And I mean, obviously playing sand volleyball is not like the same thing as playing in the field. Although I tried some sand volleyball, and boy, that is not my thing.
Yeah, shout out Stacks. I saw a little clip.
Oh man, yeah, he posted that. Oh, Never mind. I didn't know he posted. I didn't know I got posted playing sand volleyball. That stuff is hard.
All you hear is, there you go, Mike.
I consider myself a good athlete, but I got humbled. I think it was by KJ's daughter. This is out there. Like, little girls can play some volleyball. Anyway, I saw him out there. I was like, oh, he can. He still got some ball left in him. But something I mentioned to him when I saw him, and he's having he'll have a press conference Thursday, so the day this drops. And I'll probably ask him to talk a little bit about that. Is the good thing I'm happy for KJ is that he kind of gets the farewell. You know, you look at some of the guys that were the legendary dudes on this team, they just didn't get it. You know, Cam Chancellor's kind of unceremonious, you know, he didn't even get carted off the field or anything. The game that he got hurt, he just was out and never played again. You know, Cliff Averill ended up getting walked off the field with shaking his hands because he couldn't feel them. You know, in 2017, Mike B just kind of got traded in the offseason. Sherm got cut. Bobby got cut. Russ got traded. You know, no one really got, you know, Earl Thomas just walked, you know. No one really got what feels like the proper exit. You know, it's very unfortunate that Doug Baldwin just played in that playoff game against Dallas, and that was just kind of it, you know, because we all thought he was going to keep playing. But none of these guys got the exit that I feel like they deserve. You know, Jermaine Kearse even. You know, Jermaine Kearse just got traded to New York on like a Friday in September. It's brutal, man. Like it's part of the business, but like you just feel like those dudes all deserved a little bit more. Everyone I just named deserved that what Big Ben got in Pittsburgh. You know, shout out to my homie Adam, the Pedestrian Podcast out in the UK. He brought up this point to me recently, and I agree. It's something I thought about. Like you just watch Big Ben get that big standing ovation, and it's just this, you know, it's just big production. I think his last game in Pittsburgh is what I'm referring to, but even his playoff game against the Chiefs, you just see it. And you see the farewell tours that they, you know, doing in basketball now, or even a guy like Derek Jeter kind of farewell thing with the Yankees. Like that 2013 Seahawks team, more guys deserve that. They deserve to be celebrated and have their day, not just be like a press release. Hey, we cut this guy. Here's a 2-minute tribute video. You know, like get up. Ricardo Lockett got, you know, his press conference. He got his day. But like in terms of the guys that were, you know, those core guys, the LOB dudes, man, it's kind of a shame.
Yeah,
to see that none of them have gotten that. You know, I think Brandon Brown are still in jail. You know, like it's unfortunate. I'm glad that KJ gets that. I wish that all these guys have got it. I hope Bobby Wagner gets to do the same thing. You know, I hope Russ does the same thing. Who else is still in the league? Sherm,
yeah.
I hope Sherm comes. Hell, Earl, come do it. Come sign it one day. You know, Cam do it. I don't care. I would just really, I'm happy on that part for KJ. Also, I'm happy on that same note for KJ is that he gets to retire from the game while he can still play, which seems counterproductive when I say it out loud. But I feel like if you talk to enough former football players, you understand how valuable that is. They're not getting carted off the field. They're not ending their career on the training table or getting x-rays or surgeries or whatever. Like KJ's good. He's good. You know, he can walk, he can jump around, he can run around, he can pick up his kids, you know, he can, you know, shoot hoops with his kids in the yard and whatever. He can do all that stuff because his back's not bad, or he don't got no bad knee, or his finger is not sticking the wrong way, or his shoulder doesn't need a gazillion surgeries. I told him that when last time I saw him. I was like, man, that means a lot, dude. Like, you're walking away from the game while you can like literally walk away. You know, like that's really valuable and rare. So I am happy for KJ. On that note, I tweeted about him, today, Wednesday, when the announcement came. It was like, you know, KJ is from Olive Branch, and I've talked to some people from Olive Branch, Mississippi. Man, small spot. You know, KJ's the man out there. But like we watched him grow up here, you know, he, bought some whips here, settled down here, found his wife here, had kids here. He just won a Super Bowl here, made the Pro Bowl here, has done stuff in the community here, is a respected veteran around here. Like he's just grown up here, become like a philanthropist in a way, building the wells in Africa. I think that was 2017, 18 that he was doing that. And he still goes back to Africa. So like, I just think we just watched KJ grow up as we did with a lot of those guys. But like KJ, Bobby, even guys like Sherm, who just like did all of the adulting here. Like a lot of these guys met their wives here and stuff like that and got married and had kids here. That's impressive. I am happy for KJ on that note, man. That's very cool to see that picture of him crying when he signs the the one-day contract with his dad in the background. For those guys who are curious, the dark-skinned brother in the background of the picture that the Seahawks posted, that's KJ's dad. KJ's dad, who I was interviewing once, and I always ask my interview subjects to spell their first and last name just so I have it right. You know, my dumbass didn't realize, I forgot that KJ is a junior. So
Jay.
I'm like, hey, yeah, man, what's your first name? He's like, yeah, Kenneth. I'm like, oh, duh. You know, my bad. You know, he's junior. I've done that like 3-4 times with dads. I got to get better at that. But yeah, that was a really cool moment, man, for KJ to get that, man. Like I said, I wish more guys could get that. They'll all probably get it when they get in the Ring of Honor or whatever, get their jersey retired in the cases of Bobby, Sherm, Russ.
But that was a special moment.
Beast Mode should get that too, by the way. Don't forget about I forgot about Marshawn. But they should all Michael Bennett deserves that. Yeah, they should all get that, man. Yeah, shout out to KJ. KJ, welcome back on the pod.
Yeah, you got a little bit of free time now, man.
definitely has some free time, man. I'm glad this is finally solved too, and people can stop suggesting that he comes back and be like a backup linebacker. KJ is not about to be no backup linebacker at 32, 33. You know what backup linebackers do in the NFL? They play special teams. You know what KJ is not doing at 30-something is playing running down on kickoff. That's just not gonna happen. You know, ain't nobody trying to do all that at that age, man. If he's gonna play, he wants to play. And he wanted to play here. They wasn't having it. He's like, all right. Go ahead and call it quits, man. And so shout out to KJ Wright. 11 years. Let me drink a little bit of this beer. Shout out to KJ Wright. 11 years in the league. Friend of the program. Good brother.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I couldn't make it, KJ, if you're watching this. Your boy came down with the vid right when I was supposed to go with Mike to go see if I can play some sand volleyball. But
I didn't realize it was going to be that much sand volleyball, man. It was rough. But yeah, man.
But
shout out to KJ, man.
Shout out to KJ indeed. Speaking of retirement, though, before we wrap things up, we do have one more player that unfortunately was forced to retire. And it's tough because I don't want to say a lot of people saw it coming, but at the same time, with the injury he had, it was kind of written on the wall where he potentially, Chris Carson, would not play again. As confident as he was going through rehab, you saw him on Instagram lifting weights, doing all these things. You just knew, okay, but can he take contact? Because this is a physical game that they play. And you talked about it, Mike. KJ gets to walk away doing all those things. Chris can never play again because of an injury. There's a difference there. And I hope Chris is able to find what's next for him career-wise. I know football was a lot to him. It was, he was able to buy his mom a new house. He just got a new contract. Like, everything was up for Chris, but his style of play, it just unfortunate things happened, and he just couldn't bounce back. And it's really unfortunate for him. And I hope that, again, he just finds success elsewhere. Maybe he comes back and does something for the Seahawks, or he finds a job elsewhere in the NFL. I'm not sure about what's next for Chris, but I know he wanted to play this season, and he was excited about the opportunity. He just wanted it. And to have him go out the way he did, it sucks. You don't want to see that happen, but it's a brutal game they play. And the way he runs, it's like, how else could you want this to end? Like KJ, walking off, signing it off, one-day contract. That's how you want everyone to finish, but it doesn't always work out that way. And I wish the best for Chris, but unfortunately, as everyone has found out over this last week, or if you're just finding out just now, he has been forced to retire because of his injury. He just couldn't pass the physical. The Seahawks were like, yeah, we're not going to put you back on the field on our team. And I'm sure Chris probably still wants to play. I would be stunned if he had an opportunity to play and some team was willing to sign him, he would probably take that risk. Like, that's how much he loves the game and loves going out there and competing. And he just can't do it.
Yeah, I think I've said this for years now, and I should still do a story on it, man. Running backs need their own union. I really do think that they just need something. The CBA has to adjust for the life of a running back in the NFL, man. It's too brutal. The difference between running backs and pretty much every other position in the league, I guess you can kind of make this argument with receivers now because of the proliferation of 7-on-7. With running backs, as soon as Roger Goodell says your name, you are in your prime. That's it. Those are your prime years, physical condition in this game, right? Like Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
He is in his prime right now. I don't even know how old Kenneth is right now, but
22.
Something, yeah. So let's go. If you can look that up from place so we get that right. Yeah,
Yeah, he's 21. My apologies.
21. Cool. Kenneth's in his prime right now. Like he is, and I want to say prime, it's not like he'll be just terrible at running the football at 28. In terms of how valuable you are to the NFL, you are most valuable right this second before you get hit by a bunch of NFL linebackers for 4 years. Right. I think, and at that point, you're still seeing guys getting paid. Kamara got paid, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry. Yeah, like guys still get Ezekiel Elliott. Guys are getting paid still. So it's not like you can't. But the point is that you're no longer in, like, look how bad the Zeke contract looks now. I mean, look how bad the Christian McCaffrey contract looks now. Like, these contracts are looking worse and worse. Aaron Jones even. So I just think that these guys, they almost should be exempt from the rookie wage scale. Like rookie running back should be able to just come in and negotiate a contract, just right off the bat. Like Kenneth Walker shouldn't be subjected to whatever his slotted contract is at 41 overall. It should be whatever the Seahawks want to pay. And not maybe that'd be less than what he's getting now. Maybe it'd be more. Like it just depends on the running back. Saquon Barkley would probably have been able to negotiate a pretty damn good contract coming out of Penn State because he was that dude. Same thing with Zeke or Leonard Fournette coming out of LSU. So I just think that running backs are just getting the short end of the stick in the CBA right now because they're just the best cheap labor aside from a quarterback. They're like just the best cheap labor there is, and they don't ever reap the benefits. Like Charles Cross, I also think is 21 years old right now. When Charles is up for his second contract, he will still be viewed as in his prime. He'll be like 24 or whatever, maybe 20, whatever, because he'll get a fifth-year option. By the time Kenneth is up, they'll be like, oh, let's just draft the next kid from Michigan State. They won't even probably think about maxing him out or giving him a $20 million contract or whatever running backs will be making at that time. So it's really unfortunate, which is why I'm so pro player in terms of contract holdouts and squeezing every little bit that they can get out of these contracts because it just can get taken away so fast, man. Chris's story is such a great example. And so I think the CBA language is a little tricky. I don't know how much money Chris is getting with retiring. I know the injury protection benefit has a maximum according to the CBA of like $2 million that he gets there. I don't know if there's also an injury settlement the Seahawks will agree to with him. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, but I know he's going to get multiple millions at least for being able to retire right now or getting waived with the failed physical designation. But yeah, I just think that part, seeing Chris's story is just like such a good example of like, yeah, nah, man, this position is so brutal. The shelf life is so short. You almost want these guys to be able to just sign whatever hell contract they want right out of school if someone's willing to pay them that, because the minute that they try to get that second deal, man, from another team, it's just so tough. And as much as I've enjoyed, I was going to share like some favorite Chris Carson stories or something like that. I don't really think I have a ton of them, but it has been kind of bittersweet. I don't know if anybody else feels this way to like watch the highlights that people are now posting of Chris, because like it's like those hits are why we don't get those anymore. What I'm saying? Get picture like there's that picture of him running through two guys in the Chiefs at the goal line in 2018. It's like, well, that's great, but it's like
this is why.
Like that, yeah. Same thing of him running over Quandre in 2018 as well when he played for the Lions. Like,
hell, he told us that story on the pod.
Yeah, that was really funny. Like, yeah, no, Chris is like genuinely good dude too. It does suck. He's part of that. I have a thing for me personally. I have a thing for that 2017 Seahawks draft class because that's my first year covering the league. So
Shaq,
Shaq, Ethan, even Malik McDowell, Delano Hill, Tedrick Thompson, Nas Jones, Amara Darbo. There's just so many guys in that class that I just kind of feel like kind of attached to because we all kind of came into the league together. Chris is one of them. I remember how much Pete Carroll talked about Chris right off the bat. Like Chris was like, Pete was like, yo, this guy we got from Oklahoma State, like, I'm really excited about this guy. Like, I think he's that, like, his style is just crazy. Chris had a hamstring injury his rookie year and didn't participate much in training camp and stuff. But boy, when he got on the field, it was like, yo, forget this Eddie Lacy thing. Forget this Thomas Rawls thing. This guy, number 32, is that guy. I remember Pete feeling that way, from the jump. That's why Chris started week 1 of his rookie year. So yeah, that his story is one just such a great example. Not a great example, but like, you know what I mean? It really illustrates how tough it is to be a running back in the NFL, financially, physically. The Seahawks have now just like this really shitty history of dudes needing to retire because of neck injuries. They had like 4 guys now: Ricardo Lockett, Cliff, Cam, and now Chris Carson. That is brutal, man. And yeah, it's I don't know how people can see these type of stories and not be pro player when it's like a situation like DK. Like, yeah, I'm holding out because all it takes is one play and then I could never play again. So I need my bread today.
Yeah, and DK, he broke his neck.
Yeah, he's already broken his neck before, right?
So
he broke his neck making $0.
Yeah, well, and the cool thing is NIL. So now, if you're a college athlete, you're a running back, you're top, you're one of the best ones, you can make some millions of dollars before you even get to the league. And if you're saving it, investing it, doing all these things, you should be set. You should be okay. It also helps that you play a few years in the league and you're able to maximize that. But to your point, but to your point, they should have their own union where they can figure something out and come to an agreement with these owners about the future for the running back position. Because as you mentioned, in 4 years, Kenneth Walker, he might be traded. He might be cut. He might not be a Seahawk. Like it happens that quickly.
Yeah. He won't be in his prime no matter where he plays.
Yeah. So
even someone like Christian McCaffrey, his story is a good example too. He signed a $16 million deal. Part of the reasoning on the Panthers' part was that, he's been pretty durable. He's played in all the games. Man, what's McCaffrey played since he signed that contract? Like 7 games or something like that?
Yeah, he had a bad hamstring injury last year, unfortunately. So
he's been like hurt the whole time since signing the deal, right? So it's like, it's just it's really unfortunate for running backs, man. Like Chris generally good dude, man. He's gonna be all right financially. I know that, man. The only person, it's funny, these guys are retiring on the same time. Only person cheaper than KJ Wright might be Chris Carson. I will say that. I was doing an interview once with Chris. Actually, I guess I do have a Chris Carson story before we sign out. I was doing an interview with Chris once. This didn't make the story that I ended up doing, but it was very funny. First, I say KJ Wright, I will do a story on him. I have like a big oral history that I pre-wrote like 2 years ago and sat on, or maybe like a year and a half. It'll probably drop next week. But in it, there's a section about how cheap KJ is. Like, he's cheap like me. Chris makes fun of me for being cheap. I don't even know if I'm as cheap as KJ. Like, they were saying KJ right now, like, will go on a trip with his homies to Europe or something like that, and they'll all get in the Uber to go to the event or wherever they're going, and KJ will send everybody. You know how you can press the split the fare thing? He's like, bro, you signed $1 million contract. You can't just get this Uber. It's $30. Like, you can't get that. And like, that's KJ, like when like when KJ came to the league, he got a 1-bedroom apartment just because it was cheaper than the 2-bedroom apartment. The price difference was like $300. Remember, this is a guy who just signed a $2 million deal for 4 years or whatever his rookie deal was. And he still was like, I'm getting the 1-bedroom. Malcolm Smith was like, it's in the same draft class, was like, bro, why don't you just get the 2-bedroom, bro? It's not even that much more. KJ was like, nope, 1 bedroom. It's all I need. And then KJ's family came to visit and was like, damn, I could use another room, huh? Like that's like puts in perspective how cheap KJ is. I was doing a story on Chris once, and I was talking to him about like finances and everything. And he was like, I remember we were talking about where you take like a girl to eat or something like that. I don't know if he's got a girl now, but did
he say Applebee's?
He said Applebee's. He was like, yeah, man, you can get the 2 for $20 or whatever. He was like, you don't, because you don't know if it's a first date, you don't want to spend a bunch of money, It's like, bro,
true.
I stopped the interview. I said, Chris, you make too much money to take a girl to Applebee's. I'm not even taking my girl to Applebee's. Chris, I hope you don't take your girl to Applebee's. Not to just.
I have a story. When you're done with your story, I have a quick story before we sign off.
Yeah, and Chris, some other people, I guess people have joked with him about his bread too. Like, Chris is a pretty like frugal guy like me, like KJ. So I relate to. Shout out to my frugal brothers. But I said to say, no matter how much money Chris get, he gonna be fine. That's a smart dude with his money. I know, like you just mentioned, investing. I know when he got paid from the Seahawks last offseason that I can guarantee he did the right thing with it. But I just pray he stopped going to Applebee's. That is all I want, man. Go to Olive Garden or something, man. Red Lobster, I don't know, man. Just stop going to Applebee's.
Well, says the man that's frugal, but he got like $1,000 on his neck. Just throwing it out there for everybody.
I do have a decent amount of bread, but this white tee that I'm wearing. I know people who listening can't see. I'm wearing a white t-shirt. Got this from Champs for like, I can go get
$9.
You get 4 of them for like $25.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what that averages out to, like $8 and some change or something like that. So it's like an $8 t-shirt, man. I got these shorts from Champs too for like $20, man.
But we're talking about the ice.
Yeah, no, that's jury costs a little bit. That's different, man. But yeah, shout
But
out to KJ Wright, shout out to Chris Carson, my frugal brothers, man. I'm with you.
you mentioned cheap dates, and you'd never take your girl to Applebee's. Des and I actually went on a date. Guess where, Mike? It was a fast food joint. I'll give you 3 guesses.
Please tell me what's out. Oh, I get to guess.
Yeah, 3 guesses.
McDonald's.
Yep.
That's where you went?
Yeah, we went on a date to McDonald's,
Oh,
all
my
dressed up.
You got dressed up and went to McDonald's?
Yeah, we threw on some jeans, nice little shirt. She had on some jeans, and we had a little date. It was like 30 minutes.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, do not take your significant other. I don't care what type of relationship y'all in. Don't take.
But if she agreed, if your girl agreed to it, Mike, would you do it? If she was like, "Yeah, take me to Burger King for a date," I would love that.
Absolutely not.
Oh,
I don't eat Burger King, so no. We
okay, a fast food joint that you would go to, that you would, if your significant other was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Probably not. No.
You ain't no fun, man. No Air Monarchs.
I'm fun, man. I can't call myself fun. It's like a Kawhi Leonard, but man, you get the. We need to sign off, man. Now we
okay. On that note, it's been a Seahawks Man to Man. It's good to be back. It's go time. We're gonna drop another one next week before we head out to Sin City, aka Las Vegas, and then we'll be back on it. Probably 1 or 2. Well, 1 week for sure.
Probably do 1 a week for sure during training camp. Maybe we'll squeeze in another after the preseason games. We'll see. A lot of those preseason games are at night, so
yeah, we'll keep you updated. But for the most part, it's back man to man. The run continues. Got a little TV love, so if you haven't, go check us out on Cairo 7. We did a little segment there that was dope. And anything else you want to add, Mike, before we get out of here?
Just want to appreciate the love to everyone. Be getting a lot of love on social media and everything. I can't always respond to it all the time because my mentions are set up in a way that I don't want people bugging me on Twitter. I don't get notifications from people on Twitter unless I follow them already. So I have to scroll to see my mentions, but I do appreciate the love. I see it on Instagram, text, obviously, calls, whatever. Chris and I appreciate, I'm speaking for both of us now. I appreciate the love. We appreciate the love, whether it's the hype, whether it's the podcast, whatever. We appreciate you guys. This is year 6 for us. So thank you guys who've been here. If you just showing up year 6, we appreciate you. If you've been here since year 1, we appreciate you. Either way, we could not do this without you guys. So thank you for the love. And we're going to try to bring you the heat all year this year as well.
Yes. On that note, we'll catch you guys later. Peace out.